Hello. What can you teach somebody that already knows everything, but they don't have any money? What can you teach people who will not listen and they're at the bottom of the heap? What can you do for somebody who needs it the most but wants it the least? People without knowledge always claim to know what they don't know. So this is why I read the African timeline, and this is why people object and reject it. But I will not cave in, and I will not stop. There was a man who worked very hard on this African timeline, and this is not just for black people, it's for everybody, to let everybody know what the world and the earth has endured since certain people have taken over this land. And not only this land, the other continents too. And the fact is, we could learn something because they don't necessarily like each other. Europeans were over there, Britons and the Irish and all the other people fighting each other to the death until they came together to decide that no matter what, because we are Europeans and we look alike, we will no longer fight ourselves. We will take out our aggression on the rest of the world and we will make it ours. And that's what they did. They don't necessarily have to like each other, but they back each other up and they act as a unit. You know as well as I do that when Europeans come at you, usually they do not come at you in one or twos. They come to you as a group late at night when you by yourself. And that's not saying that they don't have a lot of Europeans that have big hearts, great fighters, but that's their MO. It's like the police when they come after you. You know what I'm talking about. Now, on to knowledge, something that our community has the least of, but claims they have the most of.
Requires capitalism requires inequality, and racism enshrines it. This is where we begin. Is racism capitalism's only altar of difference? No. But that doesn't mean that there is ever a moment in capitalism on a world scale where the various institutions that sort and stack us into groups does not contribute to group differentiated vulnerability to premature death. That last phrase is my definition of racism, and capitalism requires differentiation in order for it to realize its imperative, which is always to make money more.
Now, I could not say anything to that. I had to let you see that. This is one of our strong sisters who is speaking out, obviously well educated, but also she's committed to telling the truth and helping her people. And so you do with it what you will, but me, I'm going to internalize that and I'm going to operate on the truth of that. And I will rise above all the things that have been done to me and in return become the man that I'm supposed to be. And I will do that continually. Timeline, 1660. A Connecticut law prohibits African Americans from serving in a militia. Racial restrictions, colonial America, Connecticut. 1662, Virginia reverses the presumption of English law that the child follows the status of his father and enacts a law that makes the free or enslaved status of children dependent on the status of the mother. Slave laws, colonial America, Virginia. You can see by this act, they're taking away the power of the father and taking away the man out of the unit of the family. Thereby, they become the head of that family. 1663, black and white indentured servants plan a rebellion in Gloucester County, Virginia. Their plans are discovered and the leaders are executed. Resistance to enslavement, colonial America, Virginia. 1663, Maryland slave laws rule that all Africans arriving in the colony are presumed to be slaves. Free European American women who marry enslaved men lose their freedom. Children of European American women and enslaved men are enslaved. Other North American colonies, and then it stops. Slave laws, colonial America, Maryland. 1663, in South Carolina, every new white settler is granted 20 acres for each black male slave and 10 acres for each black female slave he or she brings into the colony. And notice, they didn't say bought. They said were granted, white settlers were granted 20 acres for male slaves and 10 acres for each black female slave he or she brings into the colony. Colonial slavery, colonial America, South Carolina. Now, if that's not incentive to be in the profit business of slavery, you tell me what is. A planned revolt of enslaved Africans and indentured servants is uncovered in Gloucester County, Virginia. Again, resistance to the enslavement, colonial America, Virginia. In Virginia, the enslaved African status is clearly differentiated from the indentured servants when colonial laws decree that enslavement is for life and is transferred to the children through the mother. Black and slave become synonymous, and enslavement becomes seemingly something that never ends. Slave laws, colonial America, Virginia. 1664, Maryland establishes slavery for life for persons of African ancestry. Slave laws, colonial America, Maryland. I have to pause sometimes because you can't make this up. This is what our ancestors went through, and this is how we pay them back. This is what they died for, to be in the condition that we were in, that we are in, still to this day. I'm going to stop today at that because I really can't take any more of this, of what America did to Africans' ancestry.